done it yourself.
Yeah,
That wasn't going to be an insult. I just know that you cut your own hair.
I had a secret mohawk for a little while. Yeah, so I really chopped up the back in a way that didn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
And so what had happened was this. I had decided that I was going to grow my beard back. My beard was very short at the time. I was like, okay, the sideburns of the beard have to be the same length. So I basically had no guard. You know how that works when you have the thing that you're going and there's no guard. So I had no guard, took the guard, and just went right up to the sideburn. And I was like, okay, now I just do the back that way, and then I move up one, and then I move up one, and there was not enough flesh on or there was not enough real estate on my head for me to actually fade enough for the fade to look natural.
Gotcha.
There was a hard line that you could tell, well, that's screwed up. So,
that's why I hire a professional to do it.
Yeah, I would have, but it's not worth it for me right now anyway. As long as I'm working from home. As you see, I left this little tuft here.
Yeah.
And,
what would you call that?
I don't know if it has a name, but I have this receding hairline here, but I have hair right in the front.
But it's
and so I shaved everything except for the hair in the front.
Yeah. Now, since I'm looking at you, I'm reminded of like a typical cartoon duckling that always has like a tuft of feathers front center.
That is what the look is. Ben, I'm gonna forewarn you throughout this entire thing. Anytime I look at my recording, that system notification helper thing just keeps on. I mean, and it's one every few seconds, and they just keep on,
not a bug,
showing up and cascading. But the audio is still recording, so I think we're still good.
That's good.
Can you tell that I'm just over a really bad illness?
When you called me, I was going to ask if you even felt okay enough to do this today.
You actually did ask me that. You were very nice, and you said, "Do you want to reschedule?" But I'm feeling much better than I have in a while. I took a COVID test. I was going to say I took a COVID test. It was positive. What I meant is the outcome was positive. I do not have COVID.
Yeah. That's a good Arrested Development reference right there. So actually that's funny you say that, because I too am getting over, probably not as bad of an illness as you, but I have had a head cold for the last week and a half.
I mean, it may be the same thing, and I'm just
less
akin to it. Did you have sore throat and congestion?
Oh yeah, terrible sore throat.
You and I, Jennifer just now has it. You and I got the exact same thing,
which is interesting because we are like 2,000 miles apart.
Yeah, Betty had it first, and then I had it, and now Jennifer has it.
I was actually, the reason I got it is because I was, I don't know this. I'm assuming the reason I got it is because I was around children for an extended period of time recently. And I'm pretty sure that they weren't sick, but like it never failed that when I worked at the photography company, every time I went into the elementary schools, I would ultimately get a cold. So yeah,
it's June 1st, 2023. Keep this in mind, Ben, when we find out that was the day of the outbreak of thin COVID or something of that nature.
COVID light.
Because here's the thing, I mean this, right? During lockdown, during all that stuff, I remember not getting sick, like, at all.
Because we wore our masks everywhere.
We wore masks everywhere, and we did, now have they stopped doing that in Seattle also?
Oh, yeah, no. And even, like, I feel bad because, like, I'll go to a bar, and I'll have drinks with a friend of mine and being inside at a bar. And then, like, I go down to the store and I put my mask on to spend 2 minutes inside the store.
Well, here's the thing. I really didn't go anywhere. So this is probably from Betty.
Who goes
I went
to school,
to the supermarket.
Right?
Yeah. She's done now, but yeah. I went to the supermarket,
summer break,
put a mask on.
Yeah.
Because I was sick and didn't want to get people sick, and people were like glaring at me, like they do around here sometimes. And I was like, and I didn't say it to anyone, but I was like, you don't know how much I'm helping you right now.
Right.
I'm protecting you from me. This is an actual.
I mean, that's the thing about masks, right? It protects others more than it protects the wearer.
Yep.
And that's what people don't really seem to understand. Or they do understand that and they just don't care.
Huh, now this is interesting. According to this, I have been recording for an hour. I don't like this. This makes me nervous.
Are you sure it's not just a random 1 in front of your time code?
No, it is definitely 1 hour. So what we're going to do here, Ben, is we're going to pause for a second. This has never been done before. A live edit. 3, 2, 1, pause. So I'm going to stop it. And now I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning.
Paul has stopped it.
Wow. Oh,
and,
wow.
So you're appending last week's episode? Is that what's happening?
There is no. There is an hour's worth of... Oh, how do I...
Is that Jennifer's audio book?
View, no, Zoom. Zoom. Sorry, Ben. Hey, everybody. I apologize.
Hey,
Zoom. Zoom to selection. Okay. I'm going to say view. Zoom. Sorry, everybody. Zoom out.
We did have one person watch those streams so far for 21 seconds.
Yeah. Why would they?
They noped out. I mean, I don't blame them.
Zoom out is Control 3. All right, here we go. Control 3. Yeah. It's just all blank, and then all of a sudden it starts.
So the playhead was just at an hour.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Oh, and in fact, Ben, maybe this is a problem. I don't know how I can... Oh, there we go. Hold on, I got it. Edit. Delete. Edit. Delete.
I just realized if I defocus my eyes and I look at my shirt, the negative space between the words kind of resembles the Batman logo.
Between your shirt?
Yeah, like... I'm wearing this shirt. It's got these yellow letters on it, and if I don't focus on it and I just look at it out of the corner of my eye, my brain translates that into the Batman, like the Michael Keaton Batman logo.
Oh, weird. All right, so I believe that I've... Oh, I copied it instead of cut it. Delete. Okay. All right, so now... I'm trying to get to the end. How do I get to the end of this easily? I'll zoom out again. View.
Is there not just like an end key on the keyboard?
Oh, can I just do that? Let's see here. You'd think there would be.
That's what I'm looking at.
All right. So, maybe if I go... Nope, that didn't do it. 1 second, Ben. Sorry. View, zoom out. What is zoom out? Zoom out is Control 3. Oh, that was what I was doing before. This is fun for no one. Thanks, everybody. All right. So I'm just going to put it right here.
God knows I've done my share of troubleshooting on the show.
All right, Ben. I think that I've solved the problem. So...
You rolling again?
The people have not heard anything, but you and I both know that we are 9 minutes and 4 seconds in to the podcast.
Well, I have 12
now. When do you have to leave?
But...
Well, you have 12 minutes because we have missing time, Ben. We have 3 minutes. Nobody knows what happened during those minutes except for you and me.
Those 3 minutes exist. Yeah, I gotta leave at 5:30. I have to be in the U District at 6 because I'm on Saturday. I am helping to film a dance video, and today we have a rehearsal.
Wow. That should be no problem as long as we don't stop recording again, which I don't think we will. So, a
How is
dance video, you say?
your thing? Are those pop-ups still popping
Oh
up?
yeah, the windows went the pop-ups went away, which is good. So that's a nice thing to have had happen.
Yeah. It was
You're also
warning
gonna
you.
wonderful, wonderful air conditioned noise throughout the entire recording
Yay. Warm enough for
because
the air
it's hot
conditioner,
here.
huh? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
mean,
Here, let me take a look. I get the news I need from the weather report, said Paul Simon. Uh, and the weather now, it is 85 degrees
85
outside.
degrees. It's
85 degrees at 6:30 p.m.
it's 67 here. It's a pleasant sunny day. That's about as hot as
Yeah.
it's gonna be. Next Wednesday, it's gonna be 80. That's the so far the highest it's gonna be. But
Wow.
sunny, sunny. Like I don't. We often don't see this in Seattle.
Huh.
The only cloud is on what is that? Saturday, but it's straight up sunshine on the Seattle weather app.
So starting today,
Unusual.
in about so it's 7 o'clock my time, 5 o'clock your time. Thunderstorm is supposed to start.
Fun.
And then there will be thunderstorms all the way until next Tuesday.
Constant thunderstorms. Unrelentless.
Constant thunderstorms, which is too bad because my wife is planning on going swimming. And I think Betty's going to go with her. This is something that she's noted is that when she's feeling crummy, being in a pool helps.
It does for a
Now,
lot of people, yeah.
my question is, of course, aren't there other people in the pool? What happens to them? All of this is hypothetical. No one at me.
Well, that was also one of those things where when the pandemic first started and people were being super careful, what did public pools do, you know? And well, they closed. But then when they opened back up, you know, how safe was it? How safe was being in a public pool? Like if there's
Right.
chlorine in the pool, does that kill the virus?
Right. Does all the urine kill the virus? It's possible.
I've tried that. People get angry.
Yeah. I'm helping you. Oh, Ben, I have a confession to make.
Ignore me.
About 2 days ago, I don't know if you've ever visited Reddit when you're on just a browser and not in the Reddit app, but they've done a lot of things to make it super annoying. They won't show you all the comments. They won't, all that sort of thing. So I have downloaded the Reddit app again. And so I've started seeing new, posts of things that I haven't seen in a while. Luckily, though, I don't just sit on the public freakouts page now. I have other things too, like nice things. So I have a mix of all the different.
And eye bleach.
I don't have eye bleach, but yes.
Well, it's one of the default subreddits.
Yeah.
So you have to purposefully go in and turn off all the cute pictures of puppies and kittens.
So the big thing is that I have also watched all of Tim Robinson's. Is it Tim Robinson? Is that? I think you should leave. What's his name?
I think you should leave. I don't know his name.
I think it's Tim Robinson. Let's find out together, Ben.
Let's find
by
out.
looking very quick at my IMDb search history.
Celebrities. What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out.
Let's see here. I think
it's not Tim Robbins. He's a different dude.
Tim Robinson. Yes, I think I got it right. I think you should leave with Tim Robinson. There is a spoilers for I think you should leave. There is a sketch that he does where these two guys notice that they've got the same shirt on, and the guy says "Shirt Brothers," and then they have a thing where the one shirt brother tries to get the other shirt brother to help him with this weird thing that's going on. If you know this, I know that I've spoken to you about it before, but you may not remember. Andy and I, years ago in the 90s, I believe.
Decades ago.
Okay, or early 90s, early 2000s. I forget exactly which, but I think no, it would have been in the 90s. It would have been in the 90s because I went to Canada in 1999. We wrote a sketch called Hat Buddies about a guy who notices that he and this other guy are wearing the same hat, and then it becomes this weird dark thing. And I sent it. I'm going to read really quick. So I sent the Shirt Buddies sketch to Andy, and I'm just going to read my back and forth to him. I say, I left him a voicemail saying, "Hey, I need you to go to this thing and watch this thing." And I didn't tell him what it was. I just said, "It's 10 minutes into this episode. You have to see it." And he said, "I am confused by your voicemail." So I just sent him the thing to I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. And I said, "There's an episode that has a sketch I wanted you to see." And he says, "Episodes 3? Question mark. 10 minutes in? Question mark." And I said, "Season 3. The episode has a name, but not a number. I read it out loud on the phone, but I can't remember which it is. 10 minutes in, though." He says, "Okay, I will watch it." I said, "I couldn't believe it. I'm getting ready to watch it right now. Very cool." And then, holy period, fucking period, shit period. Sorry, time code. I don't even know what to say. I'm questioning reality. That's from Andy. Very similar to when you and I were watching that episode of the what was it? Actually, that dropout game show, and one of the contestants, who is Brendan Lee Mulligan, described this thing that he was watching online where they were doing this weird deep dive into Santa Claus's powers.
Right.
And we checked the timestamp, and it was recorded after, like a year or so after we had done our little Santa Claus thing.
Santa Claus as Freddy Krueger, yeah.
And we know that it's possible that it wasn't ours. I'm sure that we're not the only people who have made this observation, but it seemed pretty close.
It did seem pretty close. Now,
close.
How close was the Shirt Buddy sketch to the Hat Buddy sketch, aside from like having the same name?
Well, here's the thing: we had several Hat Buddy sketches that we wrote, and all of them had the same thing. The person, who is the Hat Buddy to the other person, is trying to live a normal life, and the other Hat Buddy takes them into this world of weirdness and all that.
Yeah.
And here's what I would say. Imagine, if you will, two different theater companies doing Hamlet, right? It's still Hamlet, but it feels different. The way that they did their Shirt Buddies thing was different than Hat Buddies. There was a different feel, but the words were very similar. Like, and what I mean by that is not that they used our script. That's not what I'm saying. I want to make that very clear. What I'm saying is the sentiment of the sketch, that two people notice that they are wearing the same article of clothing, and then because of that, one of them assumes that they have a much stronger bond than they do, and then leads that other person into a weird situation. That was the same, and it was really cool. I am way past the idea that people are taking my material. I don't think that anymore, but I do think that we, as human beings, make up the same stuff in a scary way. We didn't notice it until Twitter came out, really. Right. But then whenever you had hashtag games, you'd see people accuse each other of stealing stuff. Yeah. I've talked about this before. Someone would say, "You stole my hashtag game," and the other person's like, "No, I didn't." And then I'd find someone else who did that same thing way before either of them did it and be like, so did you guys both steal off of this guy? And they're like, no, we didn't know about it until that sort of thing.
There was one, I can't remember. It might have been I think it was a sketch show. It might have been, oh, you know what I think it was? It was Late Night with James Corden.
Okay.
And he was accused of basically lifting almost word for word a rant by either a stand-up comedian or a sketch show or something. But if you play these two things, I wish I could remember what the source material was. But Corden got in a lot of trouble for this, and I can't remember even what the content was. But what his explanation was that it was from one of his writers, and his writer, who had to come clean, had to say he may have seen that in the past, but didn't realize that he had just copied it. You know, he had watched it in the past. It had made its way into his brain somehow, and he collected those thoughts and felt that he was creating an original piece of content, that it was an original idea, even though he was influenced by something that may have been on even in the background of a room he was in on a TV, you know. That sort of, I think a lot of people can fall under that sort of self-delusion, I suppose, when they think they've come up with something, but they actually haven't, but they don't realize that they haven't.
Yeah. There's a Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. Remember that? Remember that show?
Oh, yeah. There's
an episode of that where someone gets accused of doing jokes that a writer stole from another writer. I think what happens is that they see it they listen to the jokes, and then they find online a sketch comedy or they have a recording of stand-up doing the same jokes that are word for word that are on the thing. And I think, spoilers for an episode of Studio City or Studio 60 that I don't exactly remember, but I believe what happens is, in the end, they find out that the comic was a writer on their show during the time that they wrote that. And due to their contract, anything that they wrote during that time, even if it was, their material, was owned by the studio. So they were fine. And it was one of those, the reason I remember it so well is because I was like, whoo, they dodged a bullet. That show that makes a lot of money, that they didn't, the bad guys won, actually, maybe.
IP Law, one of the finest plot points of Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
Yes.
It's amazing it didn't last.
Oh, you know what I saw? You know what I watched, Ben? You know what my weird vocal tick is right now? I don't know why that's... I watched 6 Underground, which you may remember is a Ryan Reynolds movie directed by Michael Bay.
I have never heard of this movie.
I hadn't either, except for the name. I remember the name. The opening chase sequence of that film lasts for maybe 20 minutes. Wow. And it is insane and nuts and awesome. And while I was watching it, I was like, I want to see a Star Wars film with an action sequence that is like this, because this is awesome. And it would be even better if these things were flying instead of driving, these cars.
So a 20-minute car chase sequence.
Yeah, the 20-minute car chase sequence was amazing. It was really, really good. There was a lot of, just the way that it was shot and all that. And I didn't know that Michael Bay had directed it. And so I was like, who directed this? And then it was Michael Bay. And I was Michael Bay? And you know what? All I can say is we already, knew that he was doing explosions and fast things and all that. And he just, got better and better at it, I suppose. But it was really good.
There's a pretty famous car chase sequence in the French Connection. I don't know how
yeah.
long it is, but like
Do
when
you know
you
the
when you mention
story about that?
iconic, the story behind the car chase sequence in the French
And
Connection,
me
and
specifically?
you,
Yeah.
I do not. Enlighten
I
us.
it you and I are both Jean Reno fans. And the fact that we have never spoken about this until now is astounding to me. But I'm taking your word for it. This is what happened. I went to France. You remember this?
Yes.
When I was working at Amazon. You and I were sketch. I'm not sketch. Well, what? We were uh, comedy duo partners, performance artists
Performance
at
art.
this time,
Yeah.
right? Were we doing Spin the Bottle when I went to France 2002?
Everyone, we hadn't started regularly, but we had done Spin the Bottle together.
Okay, all right. So we weren't regular. I was wondering, what did you do while I was in France? I forget. It's because we hadn't done it regularly at the time. So I go to France, and I'm in Villefranche-sur-Mer, right? And there's something weird about it. I don't exactly remember what it is, but there's just this weird nostalgic feeling I have about the city, right? Or the town, the village.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't know what it is. And eventually I find out while I'm there, and I hope I have the orders of operations right. Maybe I already knew before I went, but I'm almost positive that I did. I think I found out later. I find out when I'm there that the car chase scene in Ronin was shot, and they used the streets in Villefranche
Yeah.
over and over and over again. Like one street was like many streets that they used. Like there's no way that this car chase could have happened. So they assembled it like puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
Right? Showing the car driving here, showing the car driving here. And um and I knew exactly what the street. I don't know if I still would know if I saw it again, but I knew which street it was. Like when I went back and watched it, because I didn't have it at the time. This is back. I couldn't just pull it up on Netflix or whatever. I had to wait
Back in
until I
the
got back
DVD
home,
days, yeah.
watch my DVD, and yeah, I was there. I walked that street every single day because I didn't have a car, so I was just walking around that town. It was pretty crazy and kind of cool. But yeah, that's me and the car chase scene in Ronin. We occupied the same space for a while, which is pretty cool.
Which is interesting because I was talking about the car chase sequence in the French Connection.
Oh, the car chase scene in the French Connection. I can talk about that too.
I can see how you could get confused.
It is one of those things where it's not just a car chase scene. It's a chase scene. And it's important because there are other elements of it. Like it's one of the first times that somebody gets on a subway car and then another person gets on and then that person gets off, that sort of thing. So the guy gets onto public transportation and then he gets away, and I think he waves goodbye as he's leaving or whatever. And then they get into cars and they're chasing the elevated. I believe it's an elevated train, but it might be just a monorail. But they're chasing it in there. And the thing that I remember, it's just like with the car chase scene in Bullet. Both of those things, the one in Bullet and the one in the French Connection, were amazing for their time.
Yeah.
And then, now that we keep on going further and further, and when you watch them now, at least what has happened to me is my brain expands them and makes them better than they were. So when I actually watch them, they're not as good.
I think it was the French Connection where they didn't have permission to shoot. They just filmed the cars racing in, I guess it was downtown New York underneath the trains.
So the there are a couple of chase scenes that when you see them now they don't hold up as well. And the two I'm thinking about, the Road Warrior
Okay.
Mad Max 2, I think it is.
Part 2. Yeah.
Part 2. It's not as it's just not as exciting as you remember it, right? Fury Road, on the other hand, is as exciting as you remember it. It's insane and awesome. But the other one was Lethal Weapon 2. Lethal Weapon 2 has a car chase scene that ends with someone getting their head cut off with a surfboard.
I do not remember that part of the movie.
In my memory, right, this chase scene is awesome. And the thing, the surfboard taking the head off and all that is amazing. But when I rewatched it, there are cuts, there are the chase is nowhere near as spectacular as I remember it in my head.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember a lot from that movie, except where I think it was Mel Gibson. He took down a house on stilts with a pickup truck.
Is that in Lethal Weapon 2?
I think it's in Lethal Weapon 2. I think it's the diplomatic immunity plot.
Is
line.
it yeah, that is 2. So I remember there was a behind the scenes thing where he makes a pun because he has a Freddy glove on, and he says Freddy Krueger hand.
That's actually pretty clever for Lethal Weapon movie.
I think Lethal Weapon 2 is also when he dislocates his shoulder to get out of a straitjacket. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I want to show you these. Do you know what these are?
Bada bean, bada boom. Are they natural?
Bada bean, bada boom. So
bean type based snacks.
Yep, I am no longer able to eat saturated fats, and when I say I'm no longer able to,
your doctor's orders.
I do eat them.
Yeah,
but I'm supposed to cut down on them. So what I do is whenever I eat my own stuff, like whenever I buy food for myself and all that, no saturated fat. And that way, if I'm ever somewhere and somebody serves me something, I don't have to ask, does this have saturated fat in it? I just eat it because I know that I've got a clear slate to eat.
People on a diet might call that like a cheat.
Yeah. But the difference is that I've done the work, right?
Well, that's the point of it, right? You've done the work on cheat days are typically.
Yeah, but I'm not cheating, Ben. I'm not cheating. I've done the work. I'm still an honest man.
But you are allowing yourself to slip. You are allowing yourself to not have to do the work.
I'm using my management reserve.
Allowing yourself to not follow the orders of your doctor.
Not my team. No. My doctor said to cut down on saturated fats. I've cut down. I could eat an entire chocolate cake with how much I've cut down.
And that would be your cheat.
Exactly? No! I'm following the rules. It's funny, whenever I have this called, I want to know about who's turning the frogs gay.
What the?
Sorry, I sounded like someone.
Oh, is that J. Jonah Jameson or something?
I want pictures of Spider-Man. That wasn't who I was thinking, but I tell you? I told you that already, right?
What's that?
The I want pictures of Spider-Man joke that I did that I thought was great.
I vaguely remember, but tell me again.
So I walk into this is when I had my mustache and my haircut that looked kind of like J. Jonah Jameson because I was have a thing, and I walk into the comic book store and say, I want pictures of Spider-Man. And then I look over at the Spider-Man comics, I go, ooh, nice. Because they're pictures of Spider-Man. I thought it was great.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
I really liked it.
How did the people who worked there treat you, or the customers?
I remember it that they were very thrilled with me and excited and thought it was hilarious.
Okay,
and that is how it's going to stay no matter what. I think Betty enjoyed it, which is important. Hey, Betty's really into Muppets now.
Yeah, you were talking about watching the problematic first season.
Oh yeah, And so now we do this thing where we just talk in Muppet voices to each other, taking on the characters of different Muppets.
That cannot be annoying.
I do Kermit. It's me, Kermit. Obviously. Hey, good, yeah. And then Dr. Teeth, also.
For sure.
And yeah, that's Betty. Betty does
Janice, is that her name? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I also do Swedish Chef. And you get your microphone. Like that.
I would try to do Floyd, but my throat is not in. It's not warmed up properly.
Oh yeah, but this is my Floyd, even though it may not be for you. Oh yeah, man. I think that's a really good idea. Betty summed it up best, which is Floyd is pretty much just a guy, and he is, but he has a little bit of a raspiness to him.
Floyd is what? Floyd is he's not Jeff Lynne. Is he Jeff Lynne? I know Floyd is modeled after some like 70s guitarist. I want to say it's him.
And then there's Zeke, and we sort of trade off, or Zoot, sorry, and we sort of trade off on Zoot. He's the sax player.
Oh yeah.
And he's really confused, man.
Gets the
like that.
He gets the comedy button at the end of every title sequence.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I bring this up so that we can talk about it for just a second. That Zoot is a great example of heightening and finding the game in a comedy thing, because Zoot will go like he will say, like, imagine if you will, because we did this thing, because I also do, Shaggy and Scooby and all that. We did this thing where the Electric Mayhem meets Scooby Doo and the gang.
Scooby the gang meets the Electric Mayhem.
It's like whoa, or Animal goes woman, and then Scooby goes woman, and Zoot says. Zoot says, man, did that dog just talk? And Shaggy says, like, yeah. And then Zoot goes, whoa, did that man just talk? Wait, did he say dog just talk first?
Yes.
Did that dog just talk? Like, yeah. Whoa, did that man just talk? And then he looks around and says, whoa, did I just talk? And that's the three, you heighten the thing. And I was talking to somebody, it wasn't you, I believe, about how sometimes people think that they find the game of the scene, but they do it in the wrong way, and they don't actually get it. And I gave this example. You have a guy who's at a parrot shop or at a pet store. Yeah. A guy comes in and he goes, hey, I have a complaint. My parrot doesn't talk. The guy's like, oh, well, that's weird. I don't know. Let's take a look. And then another guy comes in and says, I have a complaint. My dog doesn't talk. Right? And then there are two ways that you can heighten it. And the way that I would say is wrong is somebody comes in and say, that maybe there's no wrong in comedy, whatever. Somebody comes in and says, my wife's not speaking to me. Right? And that kind of works. Right? It's people not talking. And now this guy's a problem with his wife, but it's not really heightening in the same way. The next thing that I would say is, hey, last time I came in here, I got one of these pencils and it's not talking. Something like that. Like the thing that, like, at first you would expect a parrot to talk. You wouldn't expect a dog to talk, but he's still a pet. And the third thing is an inanimate object from the place, and it's not talking. That would be my suggestion. I could be wrong. Comedy nerds, don't come at me. Although, I would love to talk to you because I love comedy and I like nerds.
That's the second time this show you've told people not to come at you.
Don't come at me.
Are you asking for attention? Are you saying not come at me, but you really mean come at me?
No, I don't mean come at me. Oh, hey, speaking of looking for attention, Ben, look.
Don't at me means don't at me.
See this guitar? I want you to listen. I can see the
neck.
I want you to listen to this guitar. I'm going to go from the lowest, or from the string here all the way up to the top.
You've tuned it like a ukulele.
I tuned it like a ukulele.
And now I cannot hear it because Zoom eschews music.
Oh, that's too bad. But basically the idea is that it's tuned like a ukulele, so it has a guitar sound, right? You would say it.
Yeah.
Well, you can't say, but it does. Here, like this is an F chord, for instance. Like that. So it's just fun. I figured out that I could do it because I was like, there is no real bass. I have a bass ukulele. It's a small bass with rubber strings. It's really nice and fun to play. But there's no real bass ukulele like a ukulele that is tuned really low. And so I was like, well, actually, guitar would be a bass version of it. So it's a ukulele a full octave down, which is pretty cool.
Nice. And
it was an old guitar, so I felt okay with it.
Did you take off to two of the
I did.
Two of the strings?
Yeah, so I took off
bottom strings.
This is how I did it. I took off the two highest strings, and then I moved the third highest string to, as you can see here, the second string location, and then move the other three down.
Ah, okay.
And so the end
so they're
string
still
is
in the
missing,
center,
and the top string is missing.
Yeah.
But so they're still in the. Can you hear that when I strum it like that?
Vaguely.
Okay. What about when I do this?
Well, I don't know if
What about when I do this? Okay. Anyway. So it was a fun little project that I did while I was on a call where I wasn't doing a lot.
I hope your microphone was muted.
Oh yeah, it was. Unlike that other time. Oh boy, I don't talk about work. Here's the thing. This is what I'll say. If you are on a call and you are on mute, and then you have another call, so you put that first call on hold and then talk to somebody and then go back to the other call, that other call is no longer on mute, even if you muted it before you put it on hold.
On your telephone device.
Yeah.
This isn't an internet meeting thing.
Something to remember in case you're like, okay, well, now I'm going to go back to that other call and do something else. So just don't do it.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. Luckily, it seems like everybody is okay with me talking.
Was this a recent experience?
Look, I really realized that I shouldn't have brought it up. I'm not going to give you a time that you can pinpoint, Ben Lawrence. Although, this is the thing, is that I keep on thinking about pretty soon people are going to be able to use the AI searching, algorithms thing to find out all sorts of stuff. Like you just mentioned, I remember it was Tuesday and the buses weren't running, and they'll find out which Tuesday were the buses not running. Oh, that would have been Tuesday, whatever. And then they're like, haha, this is the day. But I've run into a couple of situations now where ChatGPT has just made stuff up. And then when you ask ChatGPT to verify it, it'll go, oh, you know what? There must have been some confusion. That doesn't actually exist. That sort of thing.
I've heard of that happening where people have like had Chat GPT write a paper of some sort, and it cites sources, and the sources that it cites are fictional.
There's a thing that I sent to Stephen that was about a law brief that somebody filed that cited false cases.
Yeah.
And the opposing attorney was like, I cannot find these cases anywhere. And then lo and behold, the person who cited the false cases presented the abstracts from those cases. And they're like, okay, now with these abstracts, no, I cannot find these anywhere. And the person who had filed it said that they were working with a law clerk, and the law clerk had told them that they had used ChatGPT for it. And they actually submitted this thing where it shows the person asking ChatGPT, are these real cases? And ChatGPT saying, yes.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of great.
There's a story that came out either today or yesterday where there's the U.S. military is training AI to pilot drones, and these drones are still like they still have a human failsafe, right? So the drone they tell these drones to identify these targets and to eliminate the targets, but the human can give a go no go sign. Yeah. And what ended up happening was that the drone decided that the human target or that the human operator was in its way of completing its mission. So it actually eliminated the human operator. And in such a way, it didn't like bomb like the HQ, but the drone actually went after the communication towers that the humans were using to communicate with it, just so it could complete its mission of eliminating these preset targets.
Now, is this in a simulation?
Yeah, it was a simulation. Or was
this
there wasn't an actual like physical drone flying around bombing crap. You know, this was a simulation, but that still happened.
Hey, I've got a new thing, Ben. And you know, stop the presses because this is important. I have come up with a way to use the term simulation correctly, and the question, is this a simulation, doesn't get asked anymore, right? Because I was thinking about this, and the question of what happens when a irresistible force meets an immovable object. Do you remember that?
An irresistible
question?
Force?
An irresistible force meets an immovable object. It's a philosophical idea. You've heard that before, yes?
Of course.
So I was talking to
you're talking about an unstoppable force, not an irresistible force.
Okay, sure, unstoppable force. And herein lies the note. I was talking to your friend of mine, a mathematician, Zach Treisman. Wait, did Zach do something with a deal with you, and so he's not actually your friend? Is that right?
We don't need to rehash it.
Okay. Well, anyway, there's this guy, Zach Treisman. He's a mathematician. I talked to him. I was roommates with him for a while. Talked to him every once in a while. And we had this conversation because I like to talk to him about math stuff. And he noted that percentages are weird, right? And so if a unstoppable force, it's always been irresistible as far as I've heard it. Mandela effect. But unstoppable force meets an immovable object. I'll say that. He's like, the percentages of the universe are kind of tricky, and so maybe it turns out that the unstoppable force isn't actually in the path of the immovable object because the percentage of it not being where it actually was is better than. And Zach, if you ever listen to this, I apologize because I'm most likely totally messing with your idea. But the idea being that when you get into weird stuff like that, it's a little spooky. Years later, I realized that the real problem with the question is it's not put in mathematical terms, right? You haven't defined immovable, or you're using English to talk about it. So that's part of the problem. In the same way, are we living in a simulation? Well, that's English words, right? We're using words to describe a thing, right? Here's the way that I would put it. A simulation is a an alternate reality that you can affect and receive information from, but that does not have the ability to negatively impact your reality in the same way. I'm leaving it vague, but you get the idea. So when I said, "Is this happening in a simulation?" You could have, which you didn't, and thank you, said, "Well, I don't know. I mean,
Oh,
maybe
jeez.
this is a simulation." That sort of thing. Um, if I say, "Is this happening in a simulation?" That just basically means, did it happen in this world or somewhere else,
Right.
right? And dreams would fit that. You have a dream, and the thing is that someone could say, well, it can affect you psychologically. You can see a movie and it will traumatize you and then affect you in the real world, which I don't think fits. I don't think it fits the criteria personally, as
That
far as that
dreams
goes.
are
I think
that dreams are
no,
not
I don't
simulations.
I no, I don't think that something affecting you mentally fits.
Mm,
Like you could have a bad dream. I think that still counts as a simulation. You could see a
right.
scary movie. I think I think dreams, um, movies, books, all those things could be considered simulations. And then you have the other question of are they static or are they interactive? Because the whole thing about what is it? Is it what's the guy's name? I know that his name has the word it has it's like it's a Greek name and it has the the word clit in it somewhere.
Clit.
Hereticles, her yeah, it oh I can't. I'm gonna look it up, Ben. I'm gonna look it up, and when I look it up, you're gonna know what I'm saying or why I said it that way. I was trying to work my way around it without looking it up. Keep it wrong, all of that, but we don't have a fact checker anymore, so it's much harder. No man enters or no man enters the same river twice. This is uh, Heraclitus, Heraclitus, or Heraclitus, Heraclitus, I believe.
Heracles.
Heraclitus. No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man. Which is
Yeah.
really nice if you think about it. We change, also a river changes. Now here's the thing: no one watches the same movie twice because they're not the same person. Is the only thing you can say. The movie stays the same, unless
Yeah.
we're talking about a director's cut or whatever. In the same way, you don't read the same book twice because you're not the same person, but the book stays the same, unless we're talking about reprints or blah 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 blah. Blah, right? The basic idea is that there are many different types of media that never change. Things that do change. When you see a storyteller tell a story, right? Even a monologue that they've memorized, like a Spalding Gray, right? Something different will happen on the night, which will change it a little bit. A play of any
Magic
kind,
of
anytime
yeah,
you
the
see
magic
it,
of theater.
there's a different thing. But if you watch a movie the same time, you could still have a different experience, but the movie stays the same. The book stays the same. The audio recording stays the same. So so the live theater, right? Live music, all of those things give you that variability, the idea of appreciating something in a different way because the circumstances are different. Now, I could see the idea of watching a movie on a couch with your friends versus watching a movie alone in a room could be two different experiences, right? But the media stays the same, which I think is really interesting and weird. I don't know why necessarily I think it's weird. except that I would say that our ancestors didn't have that experience of moments in time recorded and staying the same. Not until the invention of like, cave paintings, um,
Oh, I mean, let's be
that sort of
honest, that
thing.
was very early on in human development.
But even then, those symbols and things like that maybe could get eroded, things like that. The ability to record moments in time near perfectly uh, didn't exist until more recent times. With our inventions of television and radio and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know if we're wired to handle it, I guess is what I'd say. Like as a kid, I would watch the same movie over and over and over and over again all the time. If you have it
Right.
on videotape, I'm going to watch this movie, right?
Yeah.
It became an activity. Um, Another thing that's kind of weird, I listen to podcasts, right? I am a member of things where they read off the name of the Patreons who contributed. I've mentioned before that the one that I'm on, I'll listen to it and like whenever my name happens, I'll be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
that's me." But I will listen to the other people, the other people's names being read, even after my name is read, or even on some podcasts where I don't contribute enough to have my name mentioned, I'll still listen to all the names. And I think it's the same reason why I watch the credits. It's just this thing of look at how many people there are in
Right.
the world that help contribute to this.
It's you want
It's
to
kind of
appreciate all the work that went into making this thing.
exactly. And it's a little staggering sometimes when you think about all the people. And I think that Ben, we have little plays that we do in our lives. And you and I, we take on different roles depending on who we're around and stuff like
All
that.
the world's a stage.
But did I tell you already about watching Gonzo with Betty on the other Muppet shows? I believe I did.
Maybe.
Gonzo's thing about him being an artist,
Oh
um,
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
and him doing the things and how the stuff that he did is very similar to the stuff that we do. It takes two of us to make one Gonzo, is what I'm
but
saying.
I'm sure we had no influence from the Muppet Show. It was just
I know I
something
did.
that was created out of the ether. We
Yeah,
all came
yeah.
up with it at the same time.
No one helped me. I built my empire on my own.
Brick by brick.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's something. 2024 coming up soon, Ben.
In 6 months?
Betty is going to be 18 in that year,
Oh, wow.
which
Yeah,
is
early
crazy.
on, too.
Yeah. Jennifer is going to be 50 this year as well. We will both be 50-year-olds. Um, I I like being 50. It it really does, you know, I think 40 did change my mind a little bit. 50 definitely did a little bit. 60 is going to be something
It's
as
going to be a
well.
trip. Yeah. And then when you
Um,
turn 65 and get that sweet, sweet retirement money,
oh, yeah, Ben.
if there's any
Um,
left.
did you hear about the way that Gen Xers? Oh, like you, Ben, you're Gen X, right? You still fit
Yeah.
under the
Oh, yeah.
wire.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You are going to get you're going to have a difficult time if you ever try to get SNAP benefits.
Mm.
In order to get SNAP benefits, if you are a Gen Xer, actually, I think you're okay. It's once you turn 50. You need to either have a family or be working 20 hours a week. And if you aren't doing either of those things, you can't get SNAP, which is a little weird.
America, the greatest country in the world.
Can I tell you, in these last minutes we have left,
Last minute.
I have my food now.
You have your food now.
Carrots, bananas, yogurt, lentils is the big one now, and some bread.
And those bean snacks.
Yeah, the bean snacks as well. But the reason I listed those 5, right? That's cheap stuff that I can buy and eat without too much money.
Yeah.
If I ever get and then the other thing, of course, eggs. And when I say eggs, I mean like a little carton of egg whites things. I could eat probably for a week on $20, maybe even less.
That's not bad. You can't get a single meal for $20 here anymore.
Yep,
I don't know if you've heard, but Seattle is one of the most expensive cities to eat out in. In the world.
But and it's because they have been forced to pay their workers the bare minimum.
Exactly, to survive. You can't even, and that's not even true anymore either, because you can't live on $15 an hour here.
Were you making a joke about how it's the most expensive city to eat out in, or were you?
No, I read that. I read that.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. All right. Well, on that note, then. Okay. On that note, Muppets. I will talk to you more later, and thank you so much for waiting around for me, Ben. I think it was worth it.
All
Another episode in the can.
Keep it wrong, Paul. I'll